first and foremost, I think it comes from being like a first gen Mexican American, like my parents are from Mexico. So that culture, that ethic is infused into not just my DNA, but the psyche. I had no idea that I was going to be a movie maker. I had no idea.
Mr. Christian Sesma, thank you so much for coming on this podcast, my man.
Awesome to be here, dude. Awesome to be here.
You're quite a hustler. You're quite the director, quite the filmmaker. And recently you started this nonprofit organization, which I'm loving to get into. But why don't you get into who you are and how you got started and go from there?
No, thanks, dude. Thanks. Awesome to be here. Obviously we've been boys for a while, fellow filmmakers trudging this road, you know what I mean? It's a crazy career, crazy journey, but we wouldn't have it any other way, right?
That's
And
right.
I definitely think that feeds into like I think just who I am. I'm a first and foremost, I think it comes from being like a first gen Mexican American, like my parents are from Mexico. So that culture, that ethic is infused into not just my DNA, but, the psyche. So, my parents had a restaurant here in Palm Springs for 30 years. So I come from the restaurant business, man, and put myself through college managing restaurants. I had no idea that I was going to be a movie maker. I had no idea. Like it was
Wow.
not, I was always like a movie nerd and I watched movies every weekend. I mean, just like I was, just a movie nerd, like everything. Like my movie vault knowledge goes deep, but I had no idea that I was going to be a filmmaker. And after college, I got to my degree in anthropology. Cultural anthropology is what I went to school at San Diego State and came back, and I was going to franchise the family restaurant out. Right, that was the thing, and my appendix ruptured, and it
Oh,
ended. Oh man, ended up in the hospital for a month. Okay, a month.
wow.
I was like left open, dude. They had to take everything out, wash it, push it back in. It was bad. It went full septic shock, all that stuff. Very, very like most people won't know, but like my family and my wife and kids, and they know it's a very close call. Like
Oh
no
my
joke.
God. Yeah.
And
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy. And actually, what's funny story because we live in Palm Springs, some of the doctors that were working were like infectious disease specialists that were doing like crazy like HIV cocktails for like patients that had like immune systems. So somehow he
Wow.
tried some different stuff on me because I was like full septic shock, They're like, who it's gonna save him? So they tried some crazy like antibiotics cocktail stuff and it worked. And on that hospital bed, no joke, like I read Robert Rodriguez's Rebel Without a Crew. I
Wow.
read like a Tarantino article and some other
Wow.
stuff. And I was like, whatever that reason was, but I was like, I'm gonna make a short film.
Hmm.
Where that came from, who knows? But life kind of intervened, and I was like, I get out of here, I'm gonna make a short film.
Wow.
And I did, healed up, got better, and a year to the day, my short that we made for nothing like ended up in the Palm Springs International like Short Film Festival, which is it's a
Wow.
good short film festival,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I always laugh because I'm like, man, I got lucky that they let me even in because it was like when I look at the short film, I go, it's like my kid could have made it. But I think it definitely was like, oh, I think I might be a little good at this. And I mean, dude, I bought Pulp Fiction, I bought American Beauty just so I can learn how to write screenplays, like the format. Because, in college, I wrote quite a bit in creative writing. But again, I don't know anything about script writing, the format of it, how that goes. And so
Did you buy the movie or the screenplay?
the screenplay, I bought the
Hmm.
book, like the screenplay book, so I can see how the format goes. And man, no joke, it's been like a self-taught journey ever since. I mean, I did everything. Shot it, wrote it, directed it, edited it, scored it, everything from the
Wow.
ground up. All when I did these short films, man. And I did
Was
another
this
short.
from was this from Samuel French?
No. But that's the story. And like, I just, I bought like a $200 camera from like a little handy cam from Best Buy at the time and was just shooting on that, man. And I did another little short film on a better camera that my buddy's dad had because he was like a videographer. And I did literally two shorts. And then I was like, dude, I want to direct. And so I raised like 15 grand between family members and stuff. And I shot my first feature in 2006 for no
Wow.
money. Yeah, and it got bought. and it got bought by this little distribution company in Westlake, right there in the valley. And dude, it got put out everywhere. Blockbuster, Best Buy, everything. And I was like, wow, it just was
That's a
kind of
big deal.
validation. Like, all right, you're meant to do this. And man, I've been learning ever since. Still
I
learning.
got it. It's amazing. How long did it take you from the hospital bed to how many shorts, and how much time went by before you made your first feature?
uh, a year and a half, and it was only
Wow.
because. So I mean, again, it was a lot of very serendipitous things. Like from the hospital bed, I made a short, and then I made another short, and then a friend of mine. So through the restaurant, crazy, very crazy restaurant stories. Through the restaurant in Palm Springs, the restaurant was very, very famous in Palm Springs. It was a cool little like Baja Fresh style taco shop, right? But a lot of industry would come in through there because this is Palm Springs. A lot of people come here on the weekends, agents, actors, and stuff. So the head of Gersh at the time, one of the partners at Gersh, was a longtime customer, and I had no idea. And we would be talking, and she was like, "I heard you're trying to make short films." I go, "Yeah, I got into short film fest," and like I guess my dad had talked to her or something. And they became like her and her wife, her partner, who was a big director on like Desperate Housewives at the time, became kind of like my first mentors in the business. And they were always like, they got my script to Endeavor at the time, which was kind of like my break in, and the break in, like the first kind of feet in the door. And they saw, they were always like, "Hey, what do you want to do? Direct. Awesome. Go direct." Like they were like, "Go
Wow.
direct. Like, go do this, go do that." Like they're always very influential of kind of like giving me great real world advice.
Well, how long was that education with her, and what was her name?
Her name is Deborah Lieb. She used to have a different lit agent, and then she became a partner at Gersh. Her Deborah Lieb and her partner Arlene Sanford. Arlene
Okay.
still directs. I mean, she did movies like she did like the Brady Bunch movie. She directed like got 50 episodes of Desperate Housewives and
Wow.
all that kind of stuff. So they would let me come to set, and they would do that kind of stuff. And then another friend of theirs, Mark Kruger, is a writer, like created like the 1400 on USA and those kind of shows. They all were just right, like they literally were customers, man. And they were like, "Dude, keep at it, keep at it." And they were always keeping at it. So it's funny that we'll run into each other, all these years later. They're like, "You're still going, dude." I'm like, "Oh, we're still in it. So
So
it's
I
crazy.
I want to I want to inject a couple of things. You said some wonderful things. So now I understand the idea behind what you're doing now in the Coachella Valley.
Yeah.
It is really important to have a mentor, right? To somebody to mentor you. Yours was through a restaurant connection,
Yeah.
and it seems like people really like the fact that you don't know who they are and
Yeah.
you have no clue, and you're completely clueless of
Totally.
how they can change your life in a snippet of a call,
Yeah.
right? And they love that. I think people love that. But the fact that they helped and kind of mentored you throughout the process,
Yeah.
that goes a long way. It shortens your journey a little bit more streamlined, no?
Yes. So it's almost like it's funny. It's almost like nothing, and this is probably a good thing. Like nothing ever really came about it other than validation along the way. Which I think that if you're a hustler
Mhm.
like me and like yourself and like so many other like real true artists and filmmakers, I think the validation along the way is enough that keeps us going forward, right? They're like, somebody goes, "Oh, you're not in the right business, kid," or like, "This is not good," or whatever. It's more like, "This is good. This has potential. Keep going." You're like, you're on the right track. I think the validation along the way was really good. And like I said, I mean, like that first film that I did, I remember going to, they sent it was Clint Culpepper at the time with Screen Gems, right? And like one of the dudes that, I mean, it was also like the producer of Dreamgirls. Like it was a giant producer, dude. I was like, "You're watching my shitty little film? That's just crazy." But they had great feedback, and I'm like, "You watched it? Like you took time out of your day at Sony to actually watch some of this, or at least scrub through it?" Like it was awesome. So
What was the name of the movie?
it's called 6:30. It was 6:30.
6:30
Yeah.
p.m. or a.m.?
If it was PM, it was really like, yeah, it was like that. It was 6:30 the time. And yeah, about a bunch of like And again, because I was working in the restaurant, I was like in like I would see all these like high school kids come in because the restaurant was right next to the high school. And I would see all these like, Palm Springs kids come in. I was like, I wrote a story about this like, rich white kid that is doing drugs and crosses the border to Tijuana and gets involved in some drug stuff and has to make it back across and all these crazy things that happen to him and his friends. And so we did it. I mean, we went to Tijuana, we shot stuff, we stole things, and it was a fun shoot.
That's awesome, man. It's going back to the executives that have that were looking at your film.
Yeah,
It goes back to that's their job. Like they have to look at stuff, even if you're a nobody, even
right.
if you're starting out. It's the part of their job, at least a percentage of it, for them to look at new talent
Yeah,
and discover someone. Now, it's rare that someone's going to become a Tarantino, but
right.
it's still part of their job, you know?
Totally. Yep.
So
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
I think the fact that you got yourself in there and you went on and you had to look at it, it's amazing. So okay, your film comes out, and we
Yeah.
both know the story behind the hurry up and wait, and
Yep.
then and then the distribution. And how did you handle all that? And then let's get into some of the other stuff
Yeah,
that
yeah.
came afterwards. And how long did it take you to go through that process?
Oh, I mean, I think it was like every year. I mean, we sold the movie in like 2006, and then like a year later, I made another little horror film. And again, like each one got a little bit different, a little bit like at the time it was like Warner Home Video through another distributor, and I did like a little horror movie and realized horror was not my genre. Like I'm like I wasn't horror fan. They were like at the time it was like 2007, 8. They're like, yeah, horror is selling. You can make it for no money and you
Yeah.
can do it. I'm like, okay, let's try it. And we did, and it's okay, but it's like not. It wasn't my like cup of tea. You know what I mean? Like I've never really been a big horror fan growing up. I mean, I like it, but not giant. Not where I'd go. Yeah. So not until like it was like, and I always consider that like my film school, and where I thought the film that came after that was just called Shoot the Hero was my first real movie. You know, I think that one, and that was probably like a 4-year process from
What do you mean?
2006.
What do you mean? What do you mean real movie? What
It had like,
defines?
yeah, and I mean real in that kind of derogatory term for myself. It's like it was a SAG picture. It was stars. It was like, it was like movie stars. And it was like a real budget. I would think we had like 400 or 500 grand. A real, like my DP who I reached out to was a giant, or is still a giant DP who came and did me a favor. Like we just met. It was a lot of crazy things that happened. And also I feel like it was the genre that kind of was like very me. Like this is you watch that movie, I'm like, that's a very on
What's the
brand.
name of it?
Shoot the Hero.
Shoot the Hero.
Shoot the
Okay.
Hero. And it was Jason Mewes at the time. So Jason Mewes from Clerks and Kevin Smith movies and stuff. So it was crazy to get Jason to play like a straight lace guy. And Trejo, everybody's buddy Trejo was in it. Nick Turturro, Fred Williams. I mean, a bunch of like fun actors. But it was just like an action comedy, and it was definitely
That's a
like
big deal.
it was
That's a
my
big
vibe.
deal.
Yeah. So that's why I consider like it had like a real crew, real people coming in from LA and from locals that were actually in the industry. Whereas before it was more like my buddies and here and there we're like shooting stuff. I mean, like it was half legit, half kind of like we're figuring it all out. So
So I have to inject, talk about your buddies, my buddies. The movie I made One More Round in 2004 was my first feature film, and I won't get into the whole thing because it's going to take a lot of time. But I did cast a couple of my friends into this
yeah.
movie. It's about a businessman who is going through midlife crisis, and he's going to join an amateur boxing contest. It's a comedy,
Yeah.
and the whole thing, the script was done, everything was done. I brought a first AD in,
Mhm.
and I said, "So how did we do this?" And he goes, "Well, based on the budget and based on the schedule, you only have one angle.
Right. Yeah. One day. Yeah. Yep.
Literally a two-shot push in, that's all you got."
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God, oh my
Exactly.
God.
Well,
But and then learning to teach your friends how to act. it was a disaster. It was a fucking disaster, and you learn from not putting your friends in the movie, really.
Oh
But
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
that's
I get it. I know, man. I know.
so. Go ahead. So this has
Yeah.
been. You finish your movie. You do this other movie, and then what's going through your mind? Like you're assessing your career, your passions. What's
Yeah,
going
I
on?
I think it's like, I'm still running the restaurant. I'm still doing this stuff. I'm still like, I'm still running the family business. And I think it's like the hobby for the first two features was the hobby, right? You're making movies, you're doing a little thing, this, that, and the other. But then you start seeing that the hobby is starting to become your career, right? So it's like an idea became your passion became a hobby, the hobby ends up becoming a career, right? And I think what we're alluding to is that leap is fucking giant, right? The leap between the hobby and career is a massive fucking Grand Canyon fjord of like a leap, and thank God, and I say this all the time, thank Christ for my wife at the time who has, like my wife was at the time, like once I quit the day job or whatever, started like transitioning out, if it wasn't for my wife and her steady fucking,
Income.
great job, um, in order for me to kind of get my feet in the business, that's still crazy up and down. Um, God, we could not have done it. There's no way. But it's just I mean, dude, name it, every struggling artist thing. You lost your house, lost your job, lost your car. I mean, this, that, and the other. I mean, there is a leap where you gotta go, I'm either fucking all in or all out. And
Yeah,
are you willing to take all the hits to do it?
yeah, yeah.
So that's
I
the
heard
goal.
it. I heard a story about Gene Hackman talking about Dustin Hoffman. He goes to Dustin Hoffman's house. This is
Yeah.
maybe before there were broke artists in New York. By
Yep.
the way, Dustin Hoffman is from Santa Monica, but I found that out by talking to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gene Hackman goes over his house and he goes, "Hey, Dustin, can I borrow some money?"
Yeah.
He goes, "Why?" Like, and he goes, walks him over to jars. This jar says rent. This jar says food. This that's Dustin Hoffman. So
Dude.
so so what's his name? Hackman says, "You have money in this jar." He goes, "Yeah, but I don't have money in this jar."
Yeah. Totally.
So that's the world that we live in, an artist. And Hackman was surviving at the time because his wife was working.
Right.
So, you put a lot of these things in perspective. So you go through that process, which I've been through. I'm sure
Yeah.
artists that are serious to be going through that have been through.
Yep.
So what happens now? Obviously, you're getting really, this is the stage you're really getting tested. You're really
Yes.
getting tested.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Yeah. So I think, like I said, Shoot the Hero was the real turning point as a director, where I feel like that was like, I always say that since I'm 1,000% self-taught all the way from the ground up, it was like everything up until that was like my film school, right? And that Shoot the Hero movie was like, which I consider my first kind of legit big real movie. That would have been like my thesis project, right?
Mm.
And I always say like, I've never had and I've said this before in different interviews and stuff. I've never had the luxury in my early career of having the bubble of film school to make mistakes privately. You know what I'm saying? Like, I never had the luxury of making mistakes privately. Every mistake I made, you can go fucking rent right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, and people are like, and I remember the first, I mean, look, every artist is subject to every criticism, but especially the early ones, I was like, yeah, dude, I know. Like, everything, it's like we don't know. I know. Like, I get it, dude. Like, we're figuring it out, um, but I think after Shoot the Hero and that movie came out, and it was also kind of a defining moment because as director, as a filmmaker, as it legit, validates you as a kind of, okay, you're a director. There's actors working with you that everybody knows, this, that, and the other. And then you can start, getting different projects. And I think after that, projects started becoming a little bit, look, I use that too easy loosely, but it's like it became a less of an uphill battle overall. But it wasn't as random, I think, up until that time. Then you
Mm.
started, I think, I got a manager, I got those kind of things. You started, maneuvering the Hollywood a little bit, as kind of like an insider now on some level, insider on the independent level. I still think, like I'm not a studio insider. We're not part of that game, or I'm not part of that game. It's still like, I always say like it's still part of that, AAA minor league thing. And,
Right on.
the majors, you're playing the Dodgers, you're playing with Universal and Warner's as like their main guys.
So this is a nice transition because I don't want to talk about this the entire session, but I
Yeah,
definitely want
yeah.
to dive into it. Is that the business as it is right now, and there's so many different things that go into that. What's your take on what the business is right now? Just to kind of highlight it and then go into a different direction. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I think, and I remember this. So after we shot the shark movie that we did in Thailand, like man, I had never had so much momentum and projects lined up after that. Like, dude, we were about to go pop, 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 pop. I was like, man, the next year and a half is packed, right? And then the strikes hit, right? 20, and after that, I knew, like, I'm like, Hollywood is not going to recover. We've talked about this. A lot of people talk like it's not going to recover from something like this. Then the strikes hit. Nothing happens for an entire year. I couldn't even put out half the movies because you couldn't release them because we couldn't do ADR under SAG contracts and all these other things, right? And so once that got settled, then you can release the movies that were supposed to come out then and finish them and all these other things. So I had like so many movies in post during that time. I think it was like 5 or something crazy.
Wow.
And then 2024 came out, and then we started finishing them, right? And then, like, and then what was after that? It was the strikes. I mean,
Two
besides COVID,
strikes.
it was
Two
two strikes,
strikes. Yeah.
right? It was Screen Actor, it was SAG and the writer strike, right? So it was like both of them, and then and then boom, the political climate, not good
Oh
either,
yeah. Not good. Not
horrible.
good.
And not in my entire life has it ever been this bad. It's like
No. No.
this is 60s, pre-50s stuff, McCarthy
Mhm.
era stuff. So here we are with that. So it's like it was already unstable. Then it was settling. Then we're kind of like, okay, then it's like bam, we get hit again with the most unstable,
Yeah.
political climate we've had in our lifetime, at least mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So here we
But
are. So I don't know. Like I think it's like I don't know. I don't know
well,
how when it's going to
I
settle.
think the strikes they made the streamers look at the business model,
Yeah.
and the business model that they created themselves wasn't working,
Yeah.
and the strikes challenged that, and the AI challenged that. So then the streamers started pulling back their productions,
Yeah.
as would probably you or myself as well. We were like, nah,
Yeah.
fuck that. I'm not doing this
Yeah.
because they were being so then. But some of the answers that some of these executives gave in interviews, I could see it a mile coming. They're gonna reel it in, and they're gonna be like, yeah, good luck to you, my friend, without saying it. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Um, and then the industry in the pre-sales model, in the independent sales agent model, practically burned down within a couple of days after the strike or during the strike.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now the movie stars that I'm going to get Mr. So and so. He's worth this much international, so we can get this much money on this guy, minus the 20% deduction for whatever else these people charge us. We know we have X money to make this because of this guy.
Yeah.
That went out the door because that dude's value is no longer the same.
Now you can only shoot one angle. You got one day, one day. No, but it's true.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now you
No,
got one angle and you just have to zoom in as they're
that's
talking.
it. Look, it became that way. It became, these big name guys that we know that you're shooting these movies in 7 days, and you're like, how can you sustain it? I mean, it was almost like a self, self destruction in and of itself, of like the model imploded the creative, which then imploded the model. It's kind of like you can't make a movie in 8 days that's anywhere near good. Even it doesn't matter if you have Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? Like it can't be good. So I
No.
mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like you have
Yeah.
to have X amount of like the basics, and nobody cared. They were just like, great,
Nobody can.
I can throw so and so on a box, and here we go. And
And
it
by the way,
imploded.
that's horrible for the filmmaker. it is
Horrible.
horrible for a guy like yourself or like me or anybody else that has done independent stuff. Because what it is that one, your back is against the wall.
All the time.
Two, it really doesn't help your career because they're saying this guy makes, it's okay,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have a shot because, Mr. Big Shot Director gets 90 days to 120 days to shoot a movie. You get 10 days.
Yeah.
And the movie stars you got on board, they're doing it for the money
Yep.
because they know 10 days is not nothing. So what happens? You as the artist become sacrificed, and then you wonder, well, geez, how come they're not want to? They're now they judge you on the movie that they made you do because of their bad business procedures,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're the guy paying the price.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, that's the sacrifice we make as working artists. And, like there's obviously movies you do to pay the rent, and there's, other ones you do because you really want to do it and work with so and so and whatever. But I mean, there's never been a picture that my back's not ever not been against the wall on some level, not where you're like, this is awesome. And your back's against the wall all the time, no matter what, for
I
sure.
love this. I love this conversation. I'm not gonna name names. I'm not gonna name the movies, but you and I were in Louisiana, and we were at some ranch in Louisiana. Two
Dude,
different movies, right?
two
Go ahead.
different movies. I think we were both there for a month or so. I mean, I was there we were in Baton Rouge for like weeks and weeks for a movie that never happened. And that's happened to me probably 3, 4 times now. That
Yeah,
kind of scenario. And
yeah.
that's something that people don't ever realize. Like,
No, it's
getting
horrible.
a film off the blocks is a miracle,
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
much less
But
finished, right?
the good thing about what has happened with the strikes and these folks and that industry that was there before, which was a lot of con men trying to make movies
Oh, yeah,
and making movies and stealing a lot of whatever it is they do.
happened. Yeah.
The artist's soul, the artist's energy, everything they
Reputation, all
take,
that stuff.
the
Yeah.
reputation, money. So I love and they treat it like one guy kept saying oh, pens down, pens. I said, what do you mean pens down? Pens down. I said, are you fucking joking? We've been here for 2 fucking months.
Yeah.
I was fuming.
Man, I
If
forgot. I totally forgot until you just brought this up that you were there as well. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Because I remember we showed up in Baton Rouge and you were there. I was like, what's up, dude? And you and I, like, I'm like, you're here too. And we're like, wow.
Yeah, Nazo and I were there. But to give it a positive spin, I am so fucking glad that era is over.
Yeah,
If it ever comes back, I will never participate in it again.
yeah,
There's an integrity in the artist, and the last couple of years obviously has been a challenge for a lot of people out there.
yeah,
And that integrity, you're better off working at McDonald's than doing that again, in my opinion,
yeah,
because you're not producing the type of films that you really want to produce or
yeah,
make or direct or write
yeah.
or act in, because you're seeing this. Oh, by the way, let's talk about your reputation to the actors
Yeah.
and how the industry looks at you. I mean, uh, it was a complete problem. Now, the other end of it is studios are now monopolizing their game. I want to bring you back because this was fantastic, and you and I
Yeah.
could talk for another 2 hours. But I want to hear about what you started the foundation and what you're trying to do.
Sure. Yeah. So probably about a year and a half ago, like, like the wife and I have always wanted to create some sort of community program to do that. So it's like, it's funny, like before I even got into filmmaking, I always thought of myself like going to teach or something like that. So, but, my kids all went through Palm Springs High School and the whole thing. And I was kind of always in and out of what they're doing. And, very tied into the community here. Born and raised out here in the Palm Springs, Coachella Valley. And we made it. Oh God, I've shot like 6, 7 movies out here. But somehow, myself and the Palm Springs Unified School District, kind of collaborated and launched a program that I created called Young Creators. And it's basically filmmaking 101, the way we do it in the industry. I always say we're teaching these, and it's strictly for middle school students. So it's
Oh,
middle school students learning how to shoot a short film and collaborate as a team to do their project, right? And we started off about a year and a half ago, and it just, man, exploded. I mean, we have 1,000 students during summer camps. Literally, it's like 1,000 students, and they're shooting 30 short films all at the same time
wow.
across five, different middle schools. So now it's like 10 different middle schools. So it's like I have a
Wow.
staff of instructors and assistants and things like that. And all these instructors are teaching, basically a curriculum that we've created for them, and they're out
Amazing.
there shooting their shorts and learning the way we do it in Hollywood, like the tried and true way. They're all in the departments shooting their shorts, directors, camera, makeup, lighting.
Amazing.
It's
Amazing.
awesome.
Wow.
I go, it's like, you remember Super 8, the movie J.J. Abrams Super 8? It's like that every day for these kids. Like they're out there shooting their movies. So it's
Amazing.
awesome. It's called at Young Creators CV. That's the Instagram at Young Creators CV. It's awesome.
That's Instagram. Do you have a website yet or no?
So it'll be Young Creators CV.
What is it? One more time.
Young Creators CV. Like Coachella
CV.
Valley. Yep.
Got
Coachella.
it. Got it. Got it. And what's I don't know if there's a mission statement, but is there a mission statement for this?
Yeah, like I don't have it memorized for him, but it's basically really just fostering the arts and in a collaborative medium for middle school students, finding their voice as the next generation of filmmakers.
Oh
You
wow.
know,
And what made you do this, man? I mean,
I think I've always like, dude, I think in my like, my happy feet, like I've always felt like this is like the school of rock for filmmaking. That's the best way. Like it's like I'm very Jack Blackish kind of dude, and it's just like I thought this would just be a really fun way to give these kids the opportunity that I never had. Like I didn't know I was going to be a filmmaker until I was 25, 27, whatever that is. I had no idea. Like if I had been exposed to these kind of programs, or even I'm like maybe the light bulb would have gone off sooner. I have no idea, and it's really incredible seeing their stories and their imagination and their work ethic. And I mean, these kids are locked in shooting their shorts. It's really awesome. But I really think it's really the fact that I didn't go to film school. I didn't go to anything like that. I didn't have the opportunity. I didn't even know it was even a thing. So, having that and then bringing people from LA down and stars and colleagues and whatever to come down and talk to these kids, it's awesome. So they're like, "Oh my God, you have real movie stars in here." Like, yeah, man. We're still working director right now. We're kind of being able to kind of bridge both worlds between Hollywood and here, and give them an opportunity to see like this is not just an amazing possible career path in their future, but really just an awesome creative outlet for themselves.
amazing, amazing. And where can people see this stuff?
It'll be on Young Creators CV, the site. So we had a YouTube site. We had a whole YouTube channel with all their films, but YouTube like changed their parameters. Something and took our page off. So we're like, I think might have been like copyrights with music or something like that. I have no idea. So now the page launches in a couple weeks with the end of this next semester, and it'll be Young Creators CV, and you can see everybody's like short film. But it's
I love
also
it.
do like we make posters. Like we have the same people that do our one sheets and stuff like that. They do the one sheets for them and for each little short. It's really cool. I'm able to kind of, and it's cool because like you even keep people in Hollywood working a little bit, like art designers and things like that.
Amazing.
In this time of AI, like, no, dude, I want like graphic designers to do that stuff. Like I can throw you work, man. I could do this, and
I
people
love
are
it.
doing stuff. It's
And
great.
did you get any like school funding for this, or is it
Yeah, yeah.
who's paying for this?
It's funded through the expanded learning program at Palm Springs Unified. So,
That's
and then now
wonderful.
now we've expanded to Desert Sands Unified, which is the other school district in like Palm Desert, Indio, La Quinta.
Mm.
So we have, we'll have a combined total of maybe about 10, 11 middle schools that we service.
Well, I tell you what, why don't you, when you decide who your top three are, or top two, or whatever, or even top five, let's
Yeah,
bring them on the podcast. Let's show clips of their films.
yeah,
Let's
that'd be
talk to
fun.
them.
Yeah, they'll love it.
That's that.
One of the little kids got cast in a big horror film as Mekhi Phifer's son, based off of the program. It was a
Amazing.
producer saw it and was like, "You have any kids that can be Mekhi Phifer's kid?" I go, "Yeah, hold on one second. Whatever." He self taped. He got his break.
Yeah, so, anything that I can do to help with this, I
Yeah.
would be happy to do so.
Yeah. It'll be
Listen,
awesome.
man, Chris, listen, Christians, there's so much more to talk about.
So much.
So much more to talk about. I had a great time working with Paul Sloan and Wages of Sin.
Yeah. Good old Polly.
Good up, Paul, and we did a nice podcast. Danny Trejo was amazing. He's in the entire movie, and we got some really good props on the movie, but
That's
best
awesome, dude.
screenplay, and but this is good.
Yeah.
Moving forward, what is it that you're doing?
I think now it's like this summer was like the end of, I feel like, this kind of section of movies that we had out, and like, into the deep right here came out this summer. It was big. I think it was seen a whole bunch, which was awesome. So now it's kind of like in development, and like I don't know, there's probably like 3 or 4 things that we're kind of at early stages on for the next bit. It kind of like, this is how
I
it
hear
goes.
you.
You're here, you're going, then you're like, all right, cool, we're
I
chilling,
hear
get the next things up. So it's the
you. I
roller
hear you.
coaster now. So right now it's kind of like learning to enjoy the calmness, even though people like us probably don't like it much. Like, we want the activity and we want to fucking be surfing, but it's like, I think it's for me as just an individual, learning how to enjoy the times when there's no big waves at the moment, but knowing that they're going to come, and that's the way it always happens. Like,
Listen,
you know,
at the end of the day, it comes down to your own integrity
yep,
and your own self-worth and your own vision for your own life. Now, it
totally.
can get foggy pretty quickly with pressures from all around,
Yep,
whether it's this, that, or the other. And the industry is in total survival mode,
totally. All the way across.
uh, all the way from the top to
Yeah,
all the way to the bottom.
for sure.
Everybody's in survival mode.
Yep,
But technology has also created an opportunity. So,
yep.
Kristen, I just want to tell you, bro, if there's something you want to talk about, a specific film we want to dissect, I'm down.
Sweet. That'd be
I'm
fun.
down. But also what you've done in the Coachella Valley. I mean, I've seen you. You know a lot of people. Although you never invited me to your tennis, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's just life.
You want to get in on that? You can go get like, what level are you? We never talked about this because those guys were like, they don't let you across the gate unless it's like you're at this bit. So we never talked about it. We never wanted to broach the subject because these guys are animals.
I'm only, I'm probably about a 3. I mean, I
Yeah,
haven't played in a
this is
while.
it's like 4, 4 to 5. You're good. Threes, they'll be like, bro, just
I'm
tell me to
good.
go to the next
I'm
one.
good.
They'll be
I'm
like
good.
this. I'm gonna go to the next one, bro. Why'd you
Yeah.
bring them?
All right, let's
Anyways,
stick to movies. Thank you for so much for coming on the
thanks, man.
podcast, Christian. I really
Thanks, man.
appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Let's keep rocking.